Dummies, this is Josh from September EEE 2022. So just to show you a few things that I think will be instructive for someone like me who doesn't code. I don't code, and I don't have much experience in these things. And honestly, I think most people are in just about the same shoes as that, same situation. Okay, so I think this is going to help a lot of people like me, and the principle would be useful not just in SoC, although this is about SoC really, but not just in SoC, but in all the courses, the 3 other courses we're doing. All right, so first off, I don't code. I've mentioned that to you. I may understand the principle, okay, which probably everybody would, but I don't code. Then secondly, I have just watched all of Alex's videos. That's our lecturer for labs basically 0 to 3, okay? And the first thing that I want to say, the main thing I want to say is that I found out that the order in which Alex is approaching the lectures, I don't think is right. Okay, I don't think it's intentional either, but the approach is literally the other way around. Okay, when you want to build something, okay, you want to build a building, you sit and you consider everything till the end first, and then you start from the beginning. Okay, you literally have to have the end in mind, and then you let the people you're working with see the end, and then we work towards that. That's how you work toward a goal. All right, anyway, long story short, what we'll be using this board for eventually, I didn't know that, I'm just being sincere, okay? Eventually is to program it to get to display some things, which yes, I knew that, but basically what you'll be required to display somewhere along the line is the last digit of your student number. So let's say your student number is 3 1 whatever, and it ends with a 7. Okay, so you'll be required to display 7. Okay, and that is what lab 2 is about. There's lab 0 1 2 3. That's what lab 2 is about. Okay, so it is in order to, okay, and straight up, what is happening here is that these 4 switches have been configured or programmed or coded, okay, to instruct this output, okay, and this output is hex 3, by the way. You see the numbers there, hex 3. So when you type hex 3 inside of quarters, and you have instructed quarters that you're dealing with this kind of board, when you type switch 6 7 8 9, that's what these switches are, and you assign them to this, is going to cause this to happen. And when you see this, if you know about hexadecimals, if you write 0 1 1 1 in hexadecimal, yeah, I think that will give you a 7, okay, because this is equivalent to 4, equivalent to 2, equivalent to 1. Okay, so that's a 7. All right, that is why that is 7 like that. So that is what lab 2 is about. Okay, like you see, I'm starting from the middle. So then lab 1 basically is the fundamental basics of how the whole structure works. Okay, you're still talking about gates and gates. I mean, there are literally dozens of gates that would cause that circuit to work. Okay, so lab 0 of course is still installation and all of that. So lab 1 is the basic building blocks, at least at some fundamental level to some extent, of how these things work. Okay, so that's what lab 1 is about. So eventually you instruct quarters, give it codes to instruct this board, okay, so that these switches are going to give instructions to this, and you display something here. So that's what that is about. Okay, now, and you might want to check this. Okay, we all know this kind of display, what you find on your calculator. Okay, that is and how you literally have to write codes to make when A is on, if you want to display 2, for example, like I said, things just have to start from the end. What you want to display is the number 2. To display the number 2, okay, for example, you have to, it's got to be A, B, G, D, E, and D. So those are the LED lights that need to be on, okay? So then for those lights to be on, just follow this, okay? On is 1 and off is 0. Okay, so for that to be on, you see, it has to be A, B, G, E, D. And when you check your 2 here, you see A, B, D, E, and G. All right, so that's what makes your 2 on. So to get the instructions to get this to work like that, then you have to back off to lab 1, okay, and write the codes to make that happen. All right, and there is this code that we write that literally flips this backward. Okay, look at this. You see, it flips it backward, and what you have here, you see, from, for example, with this is 0, 0, 0 and 1 and 0, 0, 0. Okay, and what you have, if you trace it backward like that, let me just use this is easier. It's getting offset here, but here is still set. So you see, you have where you have this 1 here, okay, it's been flipped backward. This 1 is equivalent to this 0. Okay, this 1 here rather is equivalent to this 0, and this 2 zeros is this 2 ones, and then this last 4 zeros is this last 4 ones. So first it switches zeros to 1, and then it writes it the other way backward. Okay, all right, those that understand coding more, which I don't, would probably explain this to you in better terms. But what I know that this does, it flips this, it mirror inverts it, laterally, okay, and then switches zeros back to 1. And this 8B sounds to me like it's just talking about this 8 bits or something. And then this one, it controls your decimal point here. Okay, when it is on is when you get to these places where you have the hexadecimals, the A, B, A to F. Okay, so that's when you start turning on your decimal point. Okay, so I'm trying not to get the video to be too long. All right, so that's what this is about. So lab 2 is to get you to display this, and then lab 1 is the building blocks of that. Lab 0 is basically the starting point, how to install and all. So now lab 3 basically is, now watch this, it is how to write your codes. I don't know if I have any codes display here. Okay, I don't have any here, but it's how to write your code such that you reduce the processing time. In other words, increase this frequency. Frequency is inversion of time. Okay, so you're going to get this to something around 50 and 100 or something, just to become more efficient in the way you do your coding. And the way you achieve that is there are some codes that are repeated. Okay, so when you get those codes that are repeated, let me check if I have any one of them open. Let's see if we can quickly. So when you get any of those codes that are repeated, what you literally do is assign a repeated code to a name, just a short name like this, and then you repeat this name instead of repeating this long string of codes. Okay, so it reduces, it just takes that long string, it has processed it once, it assigns a name to it. I'm not sure if this is the right line, but just grab the concept. Instead of a longer code like this, it assigns a name to it. So when you just quote that name, it just returns that value. And at the end of the day, when you check your frequency somewhere here, this number starts coming up. Okay, so finally, this is our report sheet, how it comes. You put your number and all that, and this is it, lab 0 to 3. Okay, so how it goes is this is when you display your student ID. Okay, like that. And this is when, of course, you have to know how to write the truth tables also. And then you see this is the last part where they talk about frequency. Yeah, so resource utilization, you see, to maximize resources, if I'm getting that right. Yeah, so you begin to put in your screenshot like that, okay, of everything that you've done and how you've displayed your number. Once you display it, you screenshot everything and you put it here, and this is how you get your marks for all of those tasks. So basically that's what this is all about. So I'll close this by, it's already 10 minutes. I'll close this by saying, let's just learn to collaborate. If you know something, you share it. You know, real life does not work by just trying to isolate and being the best student in quote. That real life doesn't function that way. In my sincere opinion, I think I'm right. Okay, so so that's what this whole course is about. Okay, when you understand it from the end that you want to achieve, when you understand this end that you want to display, this is where you're going. Okay, and then it will help you understand what all the coding is about, and then how this works. That's what you're trying to display, and then how to increase your frequency, your efficiency. Okay, by popping up this frequency, which is reducing the time that the whole thing spends in processing the work. So so that's just it. So thank you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm gonna post this on the group. Let me know what your thoughts are and if it makes sense to you at all.